Hey, nerdy sports fan here, and we're wrapping up our conversation of off-season needs for the NFC West with the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are a very interesting organization right now. They seemingly have their guy with Kyler Murray. As much as I think he's a shrinky dink and will likely get injured out of the league, that opinion does not matter. The team will build around him. They need to see what they have in him. They need to do what they can to develop him as much as possible. So it's weird to me that they traded away any sort of draft capital in order to get Drake. Kenyan Drake is the kind of move you make when you're in a Super Bowl run. And they already had David Johnson, who was having a good season. So they weren't really going anywhere last season. I don't really get the Drake move. Either way, Kenyan Drake, David Johnson Jr. in the same backfield makes zero sense. So they've got to figure out, really flesh out what they want to do there. The receiving core they have, Larry Fitzgerald coming back is real big. They need leadership in that room. And there's a lot of youth, there's a lot of talent. Fitzgerald, the guiding hand in the room, showing these guys how to study, how to prepare, how to be a pro, that's big. So I expect the receiving core to develop more. And honestly, I think they're going to get more players. I think they're going to load up on receivers some more. The air raid offense is very pass happy. Lots of quick routes, quick hitting things in order to get the ball in the hands of the receiver as quick as possible with some open space around him so he can make some moves afterwards. So, yeah, just having 4 options out there at receiver plus a running back that can catch the ball, that's big for this offense. So, I do expect them to get at least one more receiving option this offseason, likely in the draft. They want to pick up their own guys. They need to fix this offensive line desperately. I mean, good run blocking would make the David Johnson or Kenyan Drake threat much more. It would prevent Kyler Murray from needing to run all over the place in order to save his ass. It would give him more time in the pocket to dissect defenses better. It's the most important thing for a quarterback's development is protection in the pocket. So, damn if they don't need to fix this offensive line. It's the single most important thing in the offseason. Protection for Kyler Murray. Middle offensive line, tackle position, just every single position can be upgraded. Should be upgraded. They might be able to knock out 2 or 3 of them this offseason. It's not likely that they recycle the entire offensive line, but that's really what they should do. So, now defense. Outside of Jones, who the hell do they have on defense? Because nobody showed up. Just, they get run all over. They get passed on at will. This defense needs a complete gut job. The personnel does not fit the scheme, or the scheme's bad, or the personnel are just bad. It was just all sorts of bad, okay? Take Chandler Jones out of it. Chandler Jones is awesome. He's one of the best defensive ends in the league, and he gets pressure at will. Great. Okay, who else do you have? Just nobody. That's who. So, somebody who can rush the passer on the opposite side, and linebackers that can cover the run and do well in coverage. I think are doable fixes in one offseason. I think you focus your draft efforts on the lines early, and 3rd, 4th round you can pick up serviceable linebackers. Linebackers are to defense what running backs are to offense. You can find a really usable linebacker later in drafts, and there's not a hell of a lot of difference between those guys and the top tier linebackers in most cases. I'm not talking about like Hall of Fame linebackers. Like you're not getting Luke Kuechly in the 4th round, okay? But as a Bills fan, I have some frame of reference for this because Matt Milano was a late draft pick. I think he was 4th or 5th round draft pick, and him paired up with Edmonds, now they're looked at as a very strong linebacking group. So, yeah, you can get a 4th or 5th round linebacker that will be serviceable. So don't worry about that level of the defense early. Pass rusher, though, goes early every year. You do not find pass rushers late in the draft. You can find offensive linemen late in the draft. So your top pick should be finding edge rush. Then go after some offensive line help and some linebacking help later in the draft. That's what I would do. But you also have free agency, and you got $53 million to spend. You're only going to eat up about $5 million in the draft. That's standard numbers for every year. So once you figure out the David Johnson, Kenyan Drake situation, you'll have someone to play around with there. And $40-something million in free agency can go a long way. Kyler Murray's an exciting player. A lot of players are going to want to play with that young man going forward. They're not necessarily thinking about next year. They're thinking about the year after that, the year after that. So a 3 to 5 year deal for any free agent is actually pretty, I would say, very, very attractive, with Kyler Murray looking how he looked, especially towards the end of last season. This offense proving that it can work in the NFL. Another year of development for Kyler Murray? Not this season, but season after that. These Cardinals could be dangerous, as long as the GM makes the right kind of moves and doesn't burn through cap money too early. You can't overcommit with the cap money this year. I would highly recommend short-term deals in free agency. As much as free agents want to come because you have a quarterback and he's young and he's going to be there a while, avoid that temptation this season. Focus on draft. Fill holes in free agency with short-term deals so you can retain cap space for next year. Because building through the draft builds the team long-term. So just plug holes in free agency, short-term deals. Wait till next offseason to give away any sort of big money deal, because you need another year of development for Kyler Murray to really become like a playoff level quarterback, I think. Mental game, he was a bit further along than the more raw physical talents from the previous year. Think about Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. The actual playing of football, the quarterback end of it, the breaking down defenses, the leading the guys into soft areas of a zone with the throw, that sort of QB work, he was further along than the more raw, physically gifted players in the previous draft. So I would anticipate this year he's almost on par with those guys in the quarterbacking realm, in the mental aspect of it. So the Josh Allens and Lamar Jacksons of the world, Kyler Murray is probably going to be in conversation with those guys for where he's at with dissecting defenses and making the right throw at the right time. Again, I think he still needs another year to develop before he's very consistent, serious playoff contention quarterback. But that remains to be seen. You give him a solid offensive line that can really, hold a pocket together so he has time. You give him a defense that can stop something outside of just Chandler Jones. We might be telling a different story. So this really is a team that can be fixed in one offseason. All the moves have to be right. You have to spend the money right in free agency. You have to draft right. But because you have the quarterback, and he really does look like the guy, you can fix this team and turn it into a playoff contending team in this one offseason. It's going to be very interesting to see what the front office for the Cardinals does, especially considering last offseason where they drafted a first-round quarterback for the second year in a row. They're not afraid to make the move that they think is right. It's a matter of whether or not it is right. So they're going to gamble because every offseason move is a gamble in some way. If their gambles pay off, this could be a very fun season for Cardinals fans. We're talking Kurt Warner era, okay? High offensive output, competitive team getting into the playoffs, dumping points on anybody that they want to. We saw what they were able to do against San Francisco. I mean, this offense is purpose-built to go after an attacking defense. So the only team that really seemed to have an answer for that defense, this offense really worked well against it. So, yeah, I think they can flip the script very easily. It hinges a lot on Kyler Murray's development, but it also hinges on them being able to put the right talent around that young man. So, hit me up in the comments. Tell me what you think should be done in Arizona to fix this team and get it right for the playoffs. What do you want to see in the draft? What do you want to see in free agency? I want to know. We're going to have more videos coming down the pipe for pre and post free agency, pre and post draft for almost every team in the league. So, like and subscribe, hit up the rest of the videos, and thanks for watching, fellas.